Have you ever stopped to think about how all those satellites get funded? You know, the ones that power your GPS or give you that in-flight Wi-Fi? Well, today we're diving into a massive $650 million bet on the future of space communication and the really clever financial tool that made the whole thing happen.
So let's just start with that big number, 650 million euros. That's the staggering amount a global satellite operator SES just raised. It's a huge figure, and it's all pointed at solving one really big problem. And that problem is this. How in the world do you pay for the incredibly expensive, super high-tech infrastructure that our entire connected world now depends on? It's a massive challenge, and it's the core question that SES is trying to answer with this bet. Okay, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll break down the deal itself. Then, we're going to decode what a hybrid bond even is. After that, we'll look at where all this money is actually going, see why investors were so keen on it, and finally, wrap up with what this all means for our connected future.
All right, let's get right into it. What exactly went down, and who are the key players in this massive space bet? So here are the key details. The satellite giant SES issued these special securities and raised that $650 million. And they did it by offering investors an annual interest rate or coupon of almost 7.4%. Now, in today's market, that is a really attractive return. And as we'll see, that was absolutely critical. But the real genius here is the kind of security they used.
And that brings us right to the heart of the strategy, the hybrid bond. If you can understand this financial instrument, you'll understand exactly why this deal was so smart.
Okay, so the technical name is a subordinated perpetual security, which is a mouthful. It's much easier to just think of it as a hybrid. It's a financial tool that cleverly mashes together the features of debt, like a regular bond, and equity, like a stock. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. With debt, an investor is basically a lender. With stocks, they're an owner. But with hybrids, they're somewhere in between. For a massive infrastructure company like SES, this is like financial magic. It gives them tons of flexibility, and this is crucial, it gets what's called equity credit from ratings agencies. That helps them keep a strong credit score without having to sell more stock and dilute their existing owners. So, now we know what financial tool they used. Let's dig into why they raised all this cash in the first place. Turns out it's a two-part strategy, managing the past while building for the future. And here's exactly how that money is being split. You can see the huge majority of it, 525 million euros, is being used to refinance their existing hybrid securities. It's a really sharp move to clean up their balance sheet. But it's that smaller slice of the pie that gets really exciting. That remaining 125 million euros, that's all about growth. That's the cash that's going to be plowed directly into launching the next generation of satellites, boosting their capacity up in orbit, and ultimately making their connectivity services better for everyone, from airlines to remote businesses.
Okay, so the deal obviously makes a ton of sense for SES. But, it takes two to tango. Why were big investors lining up to hand over 650 million euros?
Well, the short answer is there is a huge appetite right now among large institutional investors. We're talking pension funds, insurance companies, for this exact type of investment. They are actively hunting for infrastructure-linked debt because assets like satellite networks are long-term, they're stable, and they generate super predictable cash flows.
So really, it was a perfect win-win situation. SES gets the long-term financial breathing room it needs, all while keeping its strong credit ratings from the big agencies. And at the same time, the investors get a fantastic yield of over 7% on a secure investment in the essential backbone of our global economy. And this really brings us to the big picture, because at the end of the day, this isn't just a story about corporate finance. It's about what this kind of funding actually makes possible in the real world.
I mean, think about it. The demand for these satellite services is just exploding. We're talking about critical communications for governments, network support for telecom companies, the Wi-Fi that keeps you online during a flight, connectivity for ships in the middle of the ocean, and high-speed internet for businesses in the middle of nowhere. They all rely on this stuff.
And that's really the bottom line here. A capital raise like this isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. It is the fuel needed to build and maintain the absolutely essential high-performance networks that our modern world runs on. It's about making sure our global communications are strong, reliable, and fast.
Which really leads to a final, pretty important question. This 650 million euros is a massive investment for right now. But as our world's demand for constant, instant connection just keeps growing, you have to wonder, what's going to be the next big bet required to power our future?